My guest today is Renice Brewster, CEO and co-founder of Australia's largest video production company, leading a team of 100 people across the country who produce more than 300 videos a week for clients including NAB, Bupa, MYOB, REA Group and Seek. Renice led her company to win the Mumbrella Production Agency of the Year award in 2018, part of the Asia Pacific class of 2019 for the EY Entrepreneurial Winning Women, a finalist the Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year at the Women's Agenda Leadership Awards in 2016, sitting on the board of Girls in Tech, a not-for-profit organisation that helps women advance their careers in science, tech, engineering and mathematics. Mother of two, marathon runner, coffee lover, and Renice is also passionate about empowering women in entrepreneurship. Renice, welcome.
Great intro. Hi, thanks for having me.
So first question, how on earth do you allocate your time?
Sleep is completely optional. It's all a mindset, and you can just squeeze a lot in a day when you have that approach.
And the coffee keeps you going, right?
The coffee keeps you going. Barocca in the morning and we're good.
And maybe a Barocca or two throughout the day as well. Let's talk about visual domain, or VisDom, as some of us like to call it. And let's talk a little bit about building a business. Can you share with us how you built and grew Visual Domain from what it was to what it is today?
Yeah, I think Visual Domain was almost set up to be the size and the pace, which is intense and fast and full on, that it was from the very beginning. So if I go back to when we founded the business, which was back in 2008, so, a lifetime ago, anything 2019 feels like a lifetime ago at this stage, but back in 2008, middle of the GFC, back then, video marketing, it was not a thing. It wasn't what it was today. The only brands that were really doing it was that sort of top end of town who had six figures to actually spend on creating a video. And when we started the business, YouTube was on the rise. We really saw that there was an opportunity to make this medium that had been previously completely inaccessible for most brands and actually bring it to them in a really meaningful way. But if I go back to then, and at the time, just me personally, I had the business I had been working for prior had just gone into administration due to the GFC. So economic climate, not amazing. And I had experienced it firsthand. Back then, my husband, he was in a carpentry apprenticeship. So I was the main breadwinner. So definitely needed to bring in an income. I had a toddler. I was pregnant. I had never run a business before. And to be really kind of honest and look in the mirror, video marketing, it wasn't like a proven business model or a thing that existed. So we were doing something completely uncharted and new. Probably not the best kind of pros and cons list to tick through when deciding should I start a business. But what it actually did was it fueled me, because failure was not an option. We had to make that puppy successful. And it was that kind of drive where, we just couldn't lose, that I think really set us up to just go bloody hard from the start. And we grew almost too fast in the beginning. We did grow way too fast in the beginning because of that drive and that energy and that grit that I think was there from the very beginning.
How do you manage the emotional roller coaster though? So you talk about failure not being an option, and it's not really a concept, the reality of we might make it, this is not working each and every day, that emotional roller coaster of success and failure, you're on the knife's edge of making it or not. How do you manage that? Do you internalize it? Can you share that with anybody? Did you feel as though you were doing it on your own? Could you talk to anyone about it? Did people understand? Just talk us through your mindset when you were going through that.
I'm someone who's very resilient and driven at the best of times. I will stick something through to the end. And if I start something, I will finish it. But yeah, it was probably the toughest part. Like, and it is, you're spot on. It's a roller coaster. 1 second you're like, oh, we just got a new client. We're killing it. This team member's awesome. And then 2 seconds later, I don't think we have enough cash in the bank to cover the bills this week. Like it's full on. And I think the first time you experience everything, it's that extra kind of punch in the gut as you kind of figure out your way through it, and you just try and be that duck on water of really cool, calm and collected, and underneath you kind of scrambling. But it all boils down to this mindset at the end of the day. And the mindset, I think, back then was we can't fail, and it's shifted now to I have a responsibility as a leader to navigate this for the team, so I've got to just suck it up and keep going for them. And mindset's 100% critical in all of it, but it's actually prepared me well. Like, I look at this year and everything that's been thrown, everyone's way, and it's very much a startup. I'm glad I've got that startup founder kind of mentality, because it's like, oh shit, okay, we're dealing with this now. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on this.
You can say whatever you want.
Quickly, wrap my head around it, adapt the business to it, keep going. And it's just that process over and over. And so long as you got that bigger vision in mind that you keep doing that for, it's just that real grit and resilience to just keep doing it with the mindset that failure is not an option.
Did you ever feel like this is just really tiring? Did you ever feel like this is it. I can't keep going at this rate because we're not getting anywhere.
100%. Like I mentioned just briefly before, when we first started, we grew way too quickly. And it was funny back then, people were offering us money for our service, right? The dream. So we just did whatever was necessary to ensure that we could deliver on that service that someone was willing to pay us money for. And we were aware of the finances, like, okay, we're just taking on another employee, but it's okay, we've got this, but we weren't owning the numbers, is probably the best way to really put it. And, a few years in, we'd gotten ourselves bank loan after bank loan to kind of manage the growth. There was no more petrol in the tank, and we were staring at administration. And honest to God, nothing more gut-wrenching than sitting in that office, figuring out, then we had about 40 in the team that, had come on this journey, had believed in our vision, had, we were helping fund their families and everything else, that we might have failed them. And that drive home, I remember it so well, like clutching the steering wheel, my knuckles were white, and I was almost just rocking like an insane person going, it's okay. Everyone's healthy. No one's dying. It's all going to be fine. But it was also a turning point. So that was probably the one time I just thought, what have I done? Like, how have I let us get in this position? But it was also the wake-up call that I needed. I owned the numbers from that day on. I really wrapped my head around it. And this was 10 years ago, but ever since we've been profitable. And it's, that lesson, that kick in the guts that I'll tell myself that no one successful has not been in that position where they've almost done that. And it's that pushing through and coming out the other side, and that responsibility that I take very seriously, that definitely keeps me going.
It's amazing what happens when we reach our threshold with something, and then how quickly that can turn in your own mind, and then subsequently turns into action, and it's a complete, it's day and night. What do you think is the secret sauce for Visual Domain? What makes you so much better than your competition and the folk that are trying to do what you do?
I mean, the secret sauce today is definitely the unique blend of people, our product, and our platform. So the fact that we're in-house, our vision is to work with really leading brands as their partner in production. Like, we love working with any company and helping them create a video, but we know when we can do our best work is when we can actually get to know a brand and show them what's possible with lots of video content. So our people are really key in this. And them understanding the brands that we're working with and the people that we're working with to make the right suggestions, and they get excited about creative concepts, and it's this passion that they can bring to our clients, and then the pool of team that we've got, so they know that, you know, if a brand wants to create a character animation, we've got a guy who absolutely loves that. If they want to do a documentary story, we've got a DOP, and she just loves, you know, bringing that kind of real storytelling to life. Like being able to draw on the people who care, critical. The platform that we built long ago, it allows us to do what we do at the scale and the affordability that we do it on. So the platform's a really critical part of it. And our product is our videos and what we create. And we're really proud that there's nothing video that we don't do. So just being that kind of one place for anything video that our brands and our clients can come to is also, I think, a really key part of our success. Like we've got competitors who just specialize in social media videos, which is great, but it's a lot more than that, and you often need different assets. So I think it's the unique blend of those three things together that actually makes us who we are and the size that we are and what we're doing.
During COVID, I guess we're kind of still in it. Can you talk through the impact to your industry and your line of work? What did you guys think you were facing, and how did you re-emerge from that? And one more question in that, how does the whole work from home concept work for people in your line of work?
Loaded question. Thankfully, like I said, roller coaster, into it, love it. So here we go, COVID roller coaster. We've all been on it. If I just talk about purely the work perspective, there is nothing about working from home that works with video. Like one of our, just even the size of the files we work with, they're 300 gig. You can't pop that on a cloud and upload it and download it, you know. So we've got hard drives that float around the country that we're doing via snail mail. So it's been a really interesting concept to try and do that from home. We've definitely found cloud solutions, but it's definitely a hindrance. The other part is, you know, we've got this server of B-roll footage that's terabytes upon terabytes of just stuff that we can grab in an instant that we've lost access to in that kind of speed. So that's been eliminated. The other big part, like I said before, our secret sauce is our people, their ability to collaborate and work together on projects, for our producers to watch over an editor's shoulder and say, no, don't pick that music track, they hate that style. And we've lost that ability too. So we kind of had all our enablers taken away. At the same time, the clients who actually needed video content, you know, we operate quite a fast turnaround in our space to begin with. So our average turnaround prior to COVID was 5 to 10 days. Our average turnaround in a COVID world is 3 to 5. So we've just lost all the things that make that speed a little bit easier, and we've got to do things faster. So it's been an interesting ride, but it all boils down, I think, to the people and their own grit and resilience in just making it work despite the circumstance, despite everything that's going on, has been hands down the most heartwarming and overwhelming thing that's come from this, that, you know, we're just so proud of. So it's been a big journey, but we're doing it. The type of work we're doing is completely changed. So I would never in a million years this time last year thought we'd ever edit someone's iPhone footage. In fact, I would have been appalled by the idea. Now it's about 30% of what we do. And, you know, credit to the guys, it actually looks incredible. They add the graphics to it. We can actually produce a really professional result doing it. Animations, our poor animators have just been, you know, non-stop. We've grown our animation team almost double in this time. So we've actually been growing that area. And we're just finding new ways of doing things. Our live stream platform is now probably, you know, I think we had 12 live streams over the course of all of last year, and I think we've done about 12 live streams this week. So it's just the type of videos have changed, the speed in which it's doing it, but it's all boiled down to the people.
It's amazing how many people that, at least I speak with anecdotally, say a similar thing to you, which is it's great, but it's not what everybody had perceived. That this whole concept of not going back to the office, the more and more people I speak with, especially in the technology area, they're saying we're losing this idea multiplier, this connectivity with our people, and it sounds like you're singing a similar tune. How do you know if you're being patient or stubborn, Renice?
How do I know if I'm being patient or stubborn? Good question. I think it all boils down to focus. Like, I know for a while there, we had so many opportunities coming our way that we were spread, across multiple, and there's an impatience that comes with that. But I also think you just don't move as far. But as soon as you get focused, you can tell exactly where you're at in the journey, how far away you are, but we're always pretty impatient, if anything. And by the time we've actually landed on where we wanted to, we're already over it and want to get to the next big thing. So we don't even enjoy the moment. So I don't even think I have an opportunity to go through those emotions.
So you talk about focus, but let's also talk about speed and quality. These are all really important factors that I think people want: speed, quality, and focus. How do you manage all three of those things and, get a high scoring or high rating under each of those umbrellas? How do you manage that?
With our product or with our people? I guess it's both, really,
Yeah,
isn't
both.
it? I think it's so ingrained in like Visual Domain to begin with was a real estate marketing company. We actually created real estate assets. So if someone was selling their home, we'd come and do a video tour of their property and we'd put it online. Now, back then, this is the days when we had a big video camera. We recorded on tape, not digital, tape, and uploaded it. But the property marketing cycle was 4 weeks. We had to turn around content in 48 hours back then. And, you couldn't just get anyone with a camera or an iPhone to go and film it. Just by the pure nature, it was a professional piece of machinery. You required a professional to do it. So I think very early on, we learned speed. Even just by being in real estate, I think we had to learn how to do it cost effectively, or else we wouldn't get that repeat business. And the quality really just came because of the nature of where we had started from, what we wanted to create, and the people that we hired to do it. So we kind of have built a business model around that very notion for so long. It's just been tested in new ways by becoming dispersed and not having that connectivity. But I think we've found new ways to work around it. We've really created a virtual culture, which, so much of what our team love about working at Visual Domain is the relationships they've got with one another, and the ability to work on different projects. And, they're all very like-minded individuals. So a lot of our energy over the last few months has really been on building a virtual culture that can be injected into the speed, the affordability, and the professionalism of what we already do. And that just has brought up and allowed us to keep the quality up, keep the speed up, and keep everyone as happy as we possibly can.
As a business owner and a business leader, as an entrepreneur, how do you, and what advice do you give to others, whether you go with your gut or your head, and why?
I think you always got to go with your gut. Always, not even a question. Head never helps. Gut always knows.
Maybe just gets in the way, right?
Yeah.
How valuable do you think, Renice, the assets that you create for businesses, how valuable do you believe they are for businesses? And how much value do you think businesses place on the assets that you create for them?
I mean, the thing about video is it's a communication tool, right? So you're communicating something, and the benefit of video, it's highly memorable, it's emotive, and you can do it in a really engaging way. So it's always been, I think, a really critical asset for a lot of businesses. And it's funny, like we almost had a challenge for a while there, that so many of the businesses we were working with, I love them, but they kind of fell into that smaller business sector where, this was their critical piece of marketing for the year. This was the big investment piece. They were spending 3 to 5 grand to create this video to explain who they are to the world. And, God bless them. Once they had it, they showed it off to everyone, and we were getting referrals thick and fast from similar sized businesses who had seen such and such as video and then wanted one. And we were sort of trying to build more of those bigger clients just because of our speed and everything. That's where our service really shines. So for those businesses in particular, I think the video was pretty much, it was their anchor, it was their benchmark. It's what they probably shared with investors, what was on their websites, who they explained who they are. Now in COVID, so many of the bigger brands, they've got teams that are located all across the country, and that video actually serves as their way to connect with their teams, to communicate what's happening, to explain to clients how they can actually interact with them now and how they can do it safely. So that's what I love about video, is just that it does have such a big impact and a power, more so I believe than other marketing collateral.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about digital media shortly, but there's a couple other things that I'm really curious about. In professional sports, we can see week by week a losing team for weeks and weeks really quickly and literally overnight switch to becoming a winning team. I think subconsciously there is this X factor amongst all of us, and you managing and leading people. How do you keep people motivated? How do you keep people at their potential? How do you keep people with that winning mindset constantly without falling into the trap of not growing and not being at your potential, because it can literally happen overnight?
I think culture is important to every business, and everyone says they're culture led. Visual Domain is really culture led. Like, we are nothing without our people. And what we ask of our people, who are highly passionate video creatives, if they do this on the weekend. So they work a week for us, and then on the weekend, they've got their own passion projects that they're working on. Culture and creating an environment where we trust them and where they have the creativity to actually express themselves and bring, we call it inspired creative grit that they have to bring to every video. Creating an environment like that, where they all push one another, where they all want to outdo what the other one has done in a little way, or just work with him on this project or her on that project, I think is what really drives the team to bring their best to work, and they're doing something that they love. My job's just to ensure that I can create an environment where they can thrive, feel safe to actually push those boundaries and to go for it, because they're all very capable of it.
You said before, get to know a brand and show them what's possible. By you leading and overseeing a team of over 100 people, how do you connect with so many people at such a level where you have a genuine connection with them, you know who they are, they know who you are as a person, and you're able to motivate them and inspire them and give them the helping hand that they may need for them to get to their full potential? How do you do that with so many people at that level?
I think it started it was just my way of operating. Like, I'm a really hard worker, and I think people kind of got brought in on potentially some of that. There was a shift there as we got bigger, when I realized I probably couldn't do it for everyone. So it's about what type of environment do we want to create, and how can people within my team, have those same leadership qualities in themselves that then inspires that of others. And I think that's really it, to be honest. Like, we've grown, but it's not for the sake of growth's sake. It's because it actually creates opportunity for our people, and it's actually enabled our people to take on bigger and bigger roles. Like, we've got, I can point out 3 of the team, all of which started as a media coordinator, which is really a entry-level job at Visual Domain. Your job is to check the footage when it comes in, make sure the audio's there, and that it's, you know, a server doesn't explode at any given moment. That's your job. And now we've got 3 people. One, she runs our Melbourne office. She has 60 direct reports. There is every single project that's going on, she could tell you its current status of, and she manages and cares for the team like no one else. Another one manages all our tech. All of our infrastructure that we have, manages our 6 developers, is from him. And another one's our creative director. So we've got 3 people who all started in the same role, but have ended up in very senior, but very different positions. And I think others see that and they see what's possible for them. And I've never had anyone come to me with an idea of like, hey, I'd really love to do this type of thing, that I've said no to, because they get the business, they understand it. So let's create those opportunities, because or else what's growth about?
12 months ago, you touched on it a little bit earlier on, but how do you think video and video content has changed, and how are consumers now engaging with video, and how are businesses looking at video differently from 12 months ago?
I can tell you how they should be looking at it a lot differently. You know, the channels that have really dramatically changed in the last 12 months. You've got LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, a website, you've got emails. And for so long, brands were creating video assets and then just plastering them all on their different channels. And that doesn't work anymore. Like, there's
Why doesn't it work anymore?
Because there's so much of it. It all just gets lost. And you've got to really look at what's your audience on each of these channels, because they're different. The audience you've got on LinkedIn is very different from the audience you've got on Instagram. And if you're creating the same video for those 2 audiences, it's not going to connect with either of them. So my recommendation to brands, unless you're going to actually, you know, map out each of your audiences and create specific content for each, I would just pick one and do it really well and connect with them. And, you know, people don't want to be sold to, you want to build a community, build an audience, and create content that will actually connect with them. And it might not always be ramming a promotional message down their throat, but rather just creating content that connects for the specific audience.
Let's talk about that. Businesses and organizations are just constantly fighting for everybody's attention. And I feel like almost everything around us is a billboard. Wherever there's empty space, someone wants to plaster something there to grab somebody's attention. How do you think companies can break through all of that and break through the clutter and stand out?
It just comes down to knowing their audience. Like, if the second you know who your audience is, what they like, what they want to hear, what they want to know more about, you can build on that. I actually think you've got to get a little bit more niche than just saying, you know, your target market is everyone. Delivery man just came, so the dogs are barking. Target market can't be everyone. We've got to really narrow it down and select who you want to talk to, what you want to say to them, and build on that. So getting far more focused on your message.
Who do you think's genuinely connecting with their consumers? And so I want you to think of one company that is doing that really well, and why did you pick them?
Oh, God,
so I'm talking about genuine connection with their consumers.
I think Kmart are doing it very well at the moment. It's funny, they've been a client of ours for 3 years, I don't remember, but a while. And through COVID, like, you know, everyone's seen nothing's in stock at Kmart. It's been really frustrating for a lot of people. And they don't just have, you know, shoppers, they've actually got really loyal fans. And I think they've recognized that really well. And they've been really experimenting with a lot of things over the past sort of 6 months throughout all of this, with different masterclass series, different types of video content. And it's not always, you know, they've pretty much identified we've got this community that actually loves hacking our products or cooking with these devices that come from here, and they're just creating content even though the products aren't even in stock half the time, that just celebrate their 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 audience, and they're trying different things and it's working really well. So I think, I've got to hand it to those guys. Despite everything kind of probably saying they should calm down, they've actually ramped right up and they're building their community and being able to talk to them. So if anyone's disgruntled saying, well, this is great, but where can I get it? They've got that opportunity to have the conversation and they're not shying away from it.
Are you now talking to people or brands or businesses that you just never thought that you would be talking to, which is a direct result of COVID and those companies trying to keep in touch, interact and connect with their consumers? You talking to more businesses now than before?
I'm definitely finding now, like we work direct with brands. A lot of other production companies work with marketing agencies, and so the work comes through them. We've always worked direct with brands. I think we're definitely finding that the types of projects brands are coming to us with are far bigger than what they were pre-COVID. So it's no longer just getting us to do a couple of internal comms. They actually need to figure out a solution for a social media campaign or else they're unable to connect with these people because they can't come in store anymore. Or, so I think everyone's seeking new digital solutions to create human connection when they couldn't prior. And video being motive is just so beautiful at that.
Do you think it's a fad that people then, after all of this, will revert back to what they were doing, or have we genuinely fast tracked the direction that that we were going in?
I think we've fast tracked it hands down. Like it'll probably balance out a little bit, but I think a lot of people are going to prefer this way of living afterwards. I mean, I'm talking to you today and I've got tracksuit pants on underneath. Like there's definitely perks of this. So I think just finding that happy medium will be there, but it's also become our new norm and our routine. And I think so many, like I know even us, we always had a working from home policy, but it's about to get a lot bigger and the norm. So we communicate with the team through video messages, and I don't think other brands are going to be very similar.
What do you think is the biggest mistake that brands and businesses make when it comes to digital and video content? What are you seeing that you just cringe at and you think, oh man, like this is not the way to be doing it?
Not respecting their audience. It's that simple. Like they'll put a 1 hour long piece of content on Facebook or something like that just doesn't respect that audience's time who's trying to find some information quickly. I just think match your content to your audience, and if you do that, you're good, but so many brands don't.
How many businesses actually have clarity around their consumers, different personas of consumers? Do businesses actually go through that exercise of identifying who their clients are?
I know a lot of ours do. I think there's a lot that know it, but just haven't got brain capacity to respond to it. And it's getting to the point where I think they actually have to, because they're using so much energy to create all this content where they could actually create a lot less, but a lot more targeted and get a lot more cut through.
Yeah, that is interesting. The whole concept of brain power and prioritizing things, because one thing then leads on to the next. If you don't get the first thing right or the foundation right, then it just constantly feels like you're on this hamster wheel, and you're doing a whole bunch of things that aren't actually giving you the impact that you need to make. Whereas setting some time aside to get the foundations right then enables you to have a far greater impact with every other piece of work that you do. What do you think is the most interesting thing you've learned about the impact of digital media as it relates to brand awareness and customer acquisition?
The most interesting thing, I think it's more been the rise of fans than consumers. Like it's no longer transactional. There's actually this kind of almost, you touched on even like a sports mentality. You've kind of got that with brands and stores now. People become aligned to them, which has always been the case, but I think it's a lot greater now than ever before. And it's, for a lot of brands, their only way that they can connect is actually by building that kind of uh, trend fandom with their audience, and finding then they've kind of got to deliver to that all the time and really live and breathe it and stay relevant.
That's really interesting. I think Apple have done a really good job. They're raving fans, and some people might call them cult organizations like
Yeah.
Tesla, and these are really big global brands, right? And I was really interested that you brought up Kmart. I wouldn't have thought of Kmart as that wouldn't have come to my mind. I guess you're probably spending more time in the Australian market and thinking about the Australian market more so than offshore. Um, I recently read that the Domino's pizza tracker. So, I mean, Domino's is another example, right? Where you've just got this cult fan group of people who just, I thought Domino's pizzas were just total crap. But then over time, I've started to really like them. And wherever we go, we just go to Domino's because it's fast, it's consistent, it's cheap, and all the things that you want, especially with young kids running around. It just makes the whole experience so much easier. But I did read that the Domino's pizza tracker that you get on your phone once you order a pizza actually uses the average time it takes for each step in the process of making a pizza. So it's not actually, personalized pizza for you as to how long your pizza actually takes. Rory Sutherland calls it the psychological moonshots. So even if it's not precisely true, it makes the experience better by reducing the uncertainty. And I think Uber's done the same. I think all Uber did was simply allow users to see where the hell their car is. Like, that's it. It's 5 minutes away. It's 10 minutes away. You don't have to sit there wondering, is this guy coming? Is it not coming? Should I go around the corner and order another taxi? And that's the revolution that I think Uber created. How do you think companies need to start better using technology to allow them to have this fan culture and this culture of or raving fans as consumers?
Well, I think technology enables that experience. Like you're talking about Domino's, they actually lead as not a pizza chain, but actually as a technology company. They don't even shy away from it. They're looking to create cool technology to create this experience. The pizza's almost secondary. And that's the beauty of it, is you can create these experiences. We're working now with for a very long time, I've touched on before, we've got a platform that lets us manage the scale of projects that we've got on the go at any given time without missing a beat, ensuring it all gets scheduled. The average brand now creates 300 videos every year. That's almost one a day. Like, it's an insane amount. So we're very focused on putting our technology that's helped us for the last 12 years actually in the hands of our customers, so that they can, manage their orders at their different stages, and the projects at their different stages, get their stakeholders and all the different people actually be able to comment and make adjustments, but also find them afterwards. And so many brands, for us, like in creating an experience, they've got, B-roll footage that could create so many different types of assets. So even just having access to that and being able to grab it, seeing what trends are out there, and us being able to make recommendations of the types of videos we're seeing in other industries similar to theirs that are working, just creating this environment where we can make their life easier, solve a problem for them, that's secondary to actually creating a video, but it just will create less friction and ease in other parts of their world. So that's the beauty and exciting part of technology, is when you can create those moments for people.
When a company comes to you to the point where you produce an end product for them, how do you keep that client engaged right through the process, acknowledging that the process might not be months, it might be more so weeks, but notwithstanding that, people are coming to you, they're giving you money, with the expectation that there's going to be a product at the end. But how do you keep people engaged through the process, and how do you interact and connect with them, if at all?
Because they are so quick, I think by default that also kind of helps. But I don't know, it's something about video that's very exciting for a lot of people. Like, you know, you're bringing something to life, and there really is that strong emotional connection that's quite exciting for them. So it's by default, I think we get quite a high engagement along the journey because they kind of want to play their own part in it, or the results so exciting at the end to see, you know. And that's where we even started, was my co-founder, his background's television, and you know, back then just being able to create your business TV type segment version was so exciting. And I don't think that excitement's worn off, and that's what I love about video, is just that emotional roller coaster that it has. But to answer your question, you know, our system kind of just asks for their help at key moments of time, gets their approval on different things as we need to, but we also personalize it. Some people don't, they just need the asset at the end, so they just need us to make their life easier. Just tell us when it's done, and it's just about personalizing the service for everyone.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it?
Mm.
I want to ask one more question before we head into another topic, and then we might finish up. In the 1950s, kids grew up playing with Lego, and this was, I think, fit for a world centered around manufacturing and industrial work. And then in the 1970s, kids grew up tinkering with personal computers, the Commodore 64, and they would, you know, make adjustments themselves. And I feel like this kind of lay the foundations of the generations of the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates. And then today's kids are growing up and building in a world of sort of, you know, this somewhat in your background in the low code, no code environment, illustrating that almost anyone can start now creating software. What do you think the future looks like for technology and for our children?
It's just endless, and it's so exciting. Like, it's a bit scary how fast it's moving and what's happening, but I'm sure every generation has said that. But it just creates opportunity. And COVID, you know, it's been a hell of a year for everyone, but my God, look at all the things that have come out of it already, and we're really only at the start of, I think, a lot of that innovation trend that's about to happen as an outcome of what we've all been through. So, you know, it's almost like we've got to teach our kids to have that startup mentality a little bit, of just knowing that different things are going to get thrown at them, and they're going to have to adapt and then keep going and find their own way of staying relevant. Like, you know, the only constant is change, has never been more true.
I think only time will tell, and we'll probably have to wait a really long time to work out how all that played out. I want to talk about the inequality in entrepreneurship, especially in technology. I think the stat is something like 93% of investor money goes to all male founding teams, and 7% goes to female-led startups. I feel like this is changing significantly and quite quickly. Now, it's Visual Domain has had external investors come in. How do you distinguish when VC wants to talk to you because you're a female entrepreneur, or because you had a damn good product? How do you distinguish that?
Are they not? How are they not related? Like, but
Touche.
I mean, no one's got to talk to you without a good product. Doesn't matter if you're male, female, an alien, you know, you've actually got to provide a good service. But if you get an opportunity to sit at a table because of it and to put your idea forward, then, you know, I think we all need to grab it. But, you know, the whole gender divide, I know is such a big one. And look, I've something I am quite passionate about, and the reason why I'm on the board of Girls in Tech is for that reason. But it's not it's not so much about, I think everyone just wants to feel accepted and that they belong. And when you're in a particular industry, or, even the founder and running a business, you actually just want to find your tribe of people who get you and can support you and who understand the unique pains and differences that you're going through. And sometimes we can find that comfort, with a male and female thing, because we can be tech, we can be entrepreneurs, but then there's also that female element. We just want people to understand us, that we can connect with and talk to. And I think for some people, it's really hard to find that community and to find those connections with people so that you can feel like you can belong, that you can be vulnerable, that you can talk to people, that ultimately pushes you forward and helps you grow and helps you build and gives you that confidence. And I think it's really important that wherever we can help people find their tribe and to find those connections that, can be those trusted ears, those trusted voices that we can lean on when we need to, because we know these people just get us and we're not having to try and explain it from our unique point of view. They understand it. And I think, that's an important lesson for everyone, is to find their tribe. Doesn't matter what role or stage that you're in, you need to find those people who understand where you want to go, how you want to do it, and the challenges that you face that are distinctly yours, that can support you through it.
I think that's as relevant as it is to people in leadership, and whether it's technology or entrepreneurship or whatever it is, as it relates also to our clients and the consumers that we work with, is finding people that we can connect with, who understand our challenges and understand our vision and want to be a partner with us through this journey to be able to get to where we all want to get to. So I think you've summarized it really well, not only as it relates to inequality and maybe a gender divide in this space, but also just as consumers and brands and businesses that we're operating.
Humans.
As human beings, yeah, it's as simple as that. Renice, I love what you've done. I think you've done a tremendous job, and I'm genuinely curious and interested to see where all of this goes and whatever else that you're up to in the background, how that's going to flower. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, your learnings, and for being so open and transparent with your experiences. Thanks again, Renice. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.